Welcome to Marketer's Alchemy, where we pull back the curtain on the intricate world of data-driven marketing. On this show, we delve into the convergence of marketing as an art form and data as a scientific foundation, unveiling the secrets to turning raw data into marketing gold. I'm your host, Kathryn Turnoff, Senior Product Manager at Deluxe. Join us as we dive into real-life case studies and give you a front row seat to industry pioneers and visionaries. Welcome to Marketer's Alchemy, turning data into gold. I'm Kathryn Turnoff, and I'm joined today with Sue Beckett, Senior Vice President of Digital Marketing and eCommerce for Lovesac. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathryn.
We're excited for today. So let's start a little bit about your career journey. Can you tell us what brought you to where you are today with Lovesac?
Interestingly enough, I started my career in what we now call direct to consumer.
Okay.
And so it was really in traditional direct marketing, catalogs, postcards, all that kind of thing. I might be dating myself, but so really I've been using data my entire career because you need data to run D2C. I love how nowadays kind of D2C is the in thing
Right.
because I feel like I've just been on the ground floor of that. But I've had the fortune of working for brands like Ann Taylor, L'Oreal, Ralph Lauren, and now the incredible brand Lovesac. My journey has been interesting because it has evolved, obviously, over that time. And digital marketing and e-commerce really started to play a part for me about 10 to 15 years ago with email and banner advertising and all those things. And it's really just evolved from there. And that's kind of the exciting thing about marketing.
I would agree. I think it's interesting how you've really seen the evolution from, like you said, catalogs to now where we are today. I'm excited to dive in and kind of talk about how we can see some of those pivotal moments in your career, how they show up for you now. So let's head into our first segment, Alchemy Unveiled, Mixing Marketing Potions. Let's talk about what data your team relies on most. How do you ensure that it's high quality when you use it?
Yeah. So being a retail business, obviously we use a lot of first party data.
Mhm.
So sales data, anything related to shopping journey, if someone signs up for email or SMS or any of our programs. But we also have really rich data when it comes to folks visiting a showroom. Because our purchases are considered purchased and get demoed, a lot of times people coming into the showroom get a quote and they may leave the showroom just with the quote, not having purchased. And we have all of that information on what someone looked at, what they've been quoted. So that's really rich data for us. And also customer journey, right? So when someone comes to the website, do they order a swatch? So someone like a swatch orderer or someone who has a quote from a showroom and performed what we call a high value action is really, we kind of categorize into warm prospects, someone who has really had an interest in us. One other piece of data that's really important for us is our customer satisfaction surveys. So we rely on those. We look at those through all parts of the journey, from someone just coming to the website and their satisfaction with the website, or if you're interacting with our customer service people, or even post purchase. And so a lot of our decisions are kind of based on what our customers or our visitors are actually telling us. And we're very in tune with that. We're always testing and learning based on that. And then, we do a lot of research based on what our customers are telling us. And then, of course, we use third party data as well to augment a lot of what we're doing, especially even in digital media.
I really want to talk about how all those different data points inform your next steps and how you interact. But if we could maybe back up the journey for a second, what is prompting your team to begin engaging with a potential customer, right? So before they order a swatch or stop by a store, are there triggers or points in a customer journey that makes you think like, okay, they're our ideal customer?
Yeah. I mean, with so much data out there now, we also kind of look at things like new movers or people who look like, based on their buying behavior, that they might be renovating. their home, things like that. And then, of course, we do a lot of competitive targeting as well as competitors do with us. And so we look at kind of customer life cycle as well, through a funnel. Where are you from an awareness standpoint? Do you even know who Lovesac is? Right? Have you been looking at furniture or couches before? And so there's a lot of points in the journey where, shoppers sometimes may not like that, but I think ultimately it leads to better marketing. And so, we also just drive a lot of foot traffic into our showrooms. And then we're also in a lot of malls. So people that might be in the market for furniture that might be looking at a competitive brand will come into our showroom. And so there's kind of a lot of points in that digital journey or the customer journey that are triggers for us.
Got it. How do you think about these triggers and interactions throughout the sales funnel? Is there a specific
Mhm.
way you guys look at that?
Yeah. So we really try and get at, okay, is someone even aware of Lovesac? No. So we trigger and target our actual creative and copy towards different parts of the customer journey and the funnel. So we're someone who might not be brand aware of us. We kind of keep a very high level, like who is Lovesac and why are we differentiated from the competition? Once you've maybe come to the site and we might be in your consideration set, our ads change. So now we may show you more of what are the features and benefits of what you've looked at. And as you kind of go through the journey, once you're ready to purchase, do we have promotions available that might kind of get you over that hump of purchasing? And so, from before their customers, it's very rigorous in how we're looking at what stage they're at. And then once they become a customer, that's a whole other journey of rebuy, really mostly because of the way that our products work and kind of are designed to evolve with you over time.
How are you using this data to identify customer pain points? Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. As I mentioned, we use a lot of customer CSAT data.
Mhm.
And as a lot of your listeners probably know, most times, sometimes you hear good things, but a lot of times people take those surveys to tell you what you can be doing better, right? Or what are your opportunities. And so we actually love that as well. And so there are some things in the pipeline based on what customers have told us, but a more recent example of that is we know that um, some people were having more trouble kind of finding all the information they needed once they received their purchase. Because with our sectionals platform, Sectionals, because they're pieces and seats and sides that are reconfigurable and changeable, you can really create anything you want. So if you buy 5 seats and 7 sides, you don't just make one configuration. You could do a lot with that. And so we were hearing a lot of feedback about wanting to know more about the possibilities. And so we created an entire ecosystem on our website for not just a My Account experience, but this whole kind of customer hub experience. So not only can you see tracking information, where's my package, where are my things, and your purchase history, but you also get all the information related to exactly what you purchased. And so, how to set it up, how to even repurchase and upgrade and everything. And we had a lot of success with that. We saw triple digit increases in account signups, which now we can use that information to actually better market to our customers.
It sounds like data really drives these decisions. Is there anything that you learned in collecting this data or the customer hub that was surprising to you or led you in a different direction?
What's really was really surprising is how many times shoppers kind of go back and forth between channels. And so where you may see a digital ad and you come to the website and you do your research, you start to understand our products more, and then maybe you go to the showroom locator and find your closest showroom. And then someone goes into a showroom, works with our amazing associates, gets a demo, gets a quote, but is like, you know what? I'm not sure if this will fit in my space. And so they go back home and, and really try and understand, like, is this the right setup for me? And then maybe they come back to the website and maybe they finish their purchase there, or they call customer love, or they call the associate back. There's so many interactions with shoppers even before they make a purchase. So that presents a lot of interesting opportunities for
Mhm.
us to make sure we're getting someone over that conversion hump.
I agree. I also am thinking about you have these different touch points in store. It's not a unique problem to you, but I think you've solved it in a unique way. Can you talk to us about your approach to attribution, given that, like you said, people are in the stores, they may finish it online. How do you handle that? And what role does data play?
Yeah, so I think we're very unique in this sense. And we are truly an omnichannel company. And I know companies use that term all the time, but we truly are. So, what I mean by that is as long as the customer is happy, we actually don't care where they purchase, right? And so, even in me discussing kind of this back and forth that can happen before a purchase, ultimately, it doesn't matter to us. And so in my past, when I've been in e-commerce roles, there's been really this friction, right? Point between offline and online. And, store associates spend time with people and then they get upset when they go and buy online because they've spent this time and they don't get kind of credit for that sale. But we've really kind of debunked all of that with what we're doing with Omnichannel because our KPIs are based on sales. And really, what is most important to us is that someone purchases our products and that they're happy with their purchase. And so, a lot of that friction, we've kind of disseminated, and it's not really apparent anymore. It's not really happening because the store associates aren't motivated by just their store sales necessarily in bonusing or in achieving their KPIs. And so what's been really interesting is as we've done that over the years, my e-commerce team now has calls with field leadership to discuss our customers coming in and saying they're having issues with the website or with this actionals configurator. What can we do to make this experience more integrated? And it's really kind of all C's have risen based on just taking that approach.
It's interesting when you say too that piece about maybe the compensation changing. Are there any other tips you would have to other companies that are struggling with that attribution? Like, how can they remove the friction between channels?
I think it's, you have to be committed to it.
Mhm.
Everyone from leadership down, I mean, it starts with leadership and saying, this is the reason why we shouldn't even have that friction. And the customer is at the center. Right? And so if we care about our customers and if we care that they're having a great shopping experience and shop the way they want, ultimately purchase the way they want, we're all winning. In theory and in practice, it's actually not that hard to attain. It does take some years to make sure that the folks that have been with you over the years understand that, they're not getting dinged for something or not bad if someone goes to a website and make a purchase or that we're spending our digital marketing dollars driving people into a showroom, which we do. And so it's more, when the rubber meets the road, we're actually spending in digital to drive people foot traffic into a showroom and the associates see that.
Right. So they can see the benefit. I get that. When we think about all of these different customer pieces that you're analyzing, it's a little overwhelming to me, right? Are there any tools or models that you swear by to help you keep it organized and gather insights from it?
Yeah, one of the things that we rely on, especially from a digital media perspective, and even TV media really, is our media mix model. And so, over the years, we've been looking at how should we switch up our media buying based on consumer trends and based on what's really resonating with consumers and working for us. And so that model has really kind of helped us understand where to put our money, because like most marketers and like most companies, your budgets aren't really increasing all that much. And so it's really important to make sure that you're optimizing your spend to where you're getting kind of the highest ROAS and where your customer base is. And so we've relied a lot on our media mix model. What I will say is I would love to crack the code on attribution. And I think it's really tough nowadays because your base of potential customers and even your customers, there's so many places for them to see you, right? In your mix. And all the social platforms, all the search platforms, CTV, broadcast TV, everywhere, affiliate programs, email. And so a lot of those, like social, the attribution's a little bit harder because someone can see your ad but not take an action, but it can have a profound effect on the fact that they go to Google and search you after. And so that's one of the things for me that we're continuing to work on and really chipping away at. And it's really exciting because I think it will really change our mindset and has started to change our mindset of where we put our dollars.
What are some of the things that you've changed now that you've, used this modeling and kind of changed your mindset a little bit? What are some changes that you've made?
Yeah, I mean, programs like CTV,
Mhm.
right? Where a lot of our traditional, we put a lot of money in linear TV and traditional TV, and we still spend there. There's still a place for that, but people's habits are changing and they're watching TV on YouTube, right? And they're watching more video and things like that. And they're watching shorter clips of video. And so just thinking about, okay, how are the consumers' needs changing? How are their habits changing? And I would say video is really a big one from that perspective. And then, of course, influencers and content creators, right? As much as we may love or not love that, that is part of our ecosystem, right? And content creator is, a major horizon that we have to look at, right? It's impossible to not. And so I think a lot of what we're talking about now, because we do have such a unique brand and we have such an amazing following, is how do we utilize content creators in a much broader way?
Interesting. I think a lot of brands obviously have shifted to that. It makes sense.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing all of these data insights. I really want to dive a little bit more into some of the creative aspects of Lovesac. So
Mhm.
let's move on to our next segment, from nuggets to campaign gold. Can we talk about your recent campaign, Recline of Civilization, and how that came together?
Would love to talk about that campaign because it was so fun and it was kind of a blast to work on. If I'm honest, we launched a reclining seat earlier this year. We hard launched it. We soft launched it last year, and with Recline of Civilization, we really kind of hard launched it. And we wanted to find a really unique way to launch a product that might not seem so exciting, right? Reclining seat. And we found a really fun and uniquely Lovesac way to do that. And for us, it was really a brand cultural moment for us in the spring. And so we partnered with Kathy Hilton, Jay Shetty, and Funny Marco, as well as a bunch of other influencers and content creators. And, let me just tell you, Kathy Hilton's just so nice and so fun. We loved her. And, yeah, she was great. And it was really a celebration of really this anti-hustle, mentality. So where everybody, we're like, "Go, go, go. You have to be the best. You have to be number 1." It was kind of, let's take a step back from that and just say, "No, like, let's recline and have self-care and understand that it's okay not to always hustle, and that commitment to relaxation and self-care. And we were really able to kind of celebrate that in a very Lovesac, um, like irreverent way that we have about us. And it was a great success. We had so much fun. And, over 5 billion earned impressions, uh, over 700 PR articles, like hundreds of percent increase in engagement across all of our digital media. And so we had fun and, produced results as well.
It's amazing success. How did you use the data to inform the direction of the campaign and kind of where you went with that?
We did use data, but a lot of what this campaign was also supposed to be about was about brand awareness and the launch of the reclining seat. And so we wanted there to kind of be like an art and science component to this campaign. And we really wanted to have some fun and create a viral moment. So, because we're leaning more into content creators, the effect they have on the brand, but we also want people to understand and our followers to love the fun nature of our beginnings. We always want that front and center. And so we know that there are a lot of companies out there selling modular couches, but none that have our unique personality and unique voice. And so we listen to, we read our comments on social and things like that. And we really said, like, let's lean in to that. So really most of the data kind of came from our personality and our followers on social and just wanting to just have this really fun brand awareness campaign and launch campaign.
Sure, and staying true to your brand and doing it in a way that's uniquely you that still achieves success.
Absolutely.
What things did you learn about creating virality and launching to new audiences throughout the course of the campaign?
You can't force it. I don't think that you can necessarily go into these types of campaigns assuming it's going to be viral and that being your end goal, right? You can hope for it and you choose content creators and talent and all those things to say, like, this could happen, right? And it would be great if it happened. But if you don't stay true to your brand and you don't choose content creators that are congruent with that brand, you can lose yourself. And I think that making sure that we did stay true and that we partnered with people that really felt like they belonged in the Lovesac family was important to us. And so I would say don't go into it that way. Don't force it because if you try and force it, people will see that. It will come across in the creative that you're trying to force it.
I think we hear that a lot, like that the idea of authenticity, and people really can feel. We say a lot, right, that people don't like marketing, they don't like bad marketing. And so when it's inauthentic or when it's not true to your brand, it's can easily pick up on it.
Especially nowadays because there's so many places people see your brand.
Definitely. Yeah. So they know already the vibe of the brand. And when something comes across, it's not right. Agree.
Right.
So let's move on to our last segment. We like to have a little bit of fun in what we call the gold rush round. If you could give a piece of advice to your younger self about data driven marketing or data science, what would it be? And also, you can only use 5 words.
Okay. So this one is a little bit of my personality coming through. So it would
Excellent.
be sit tight. It's getting fun.
All right. I love it. What's a recent campaign from another company that you think listeners should check out so you can learn from?
So I really love everything that Duncan is doing. I feel like it's clear as a marketer that they're using data and that they understand their customers. But if you take a step away from the marketing hat, I really just think they're coming across like brilliant and fun. And they are also staying true to their brand. They are not a Starbucks, right? They are different. And the way that the marketing is different is very separate and different and is truly Dunkin'. And if I could give a second, I just love with what Adidas is doing, um, showing up for women's sports. I feel like they're totally leaning in, whether it be like really any sport, and whether it be US, say, women's soccer or European women's soccer. And it's just, you can tell the commitment they have and the belief that they have that what they're doing is going to resonate. And I just love it.
Thank you for sharing those. I have one more fun one. What is one data mistake that you made in the past that you would not repeat?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say only relying on data and not having a mix of art and science. Because I do think sometimes data can lead you down a path that might not seem parallel to kind of where your brand is at. And I think marketers make that mistake all the time. And also, I would say that it's not just using all parts of data that you have. It's actually what is the right data for what your end goal is, right? And so we talk about I think companies have just so much marketing data, but not all of it is relevant, right? To what exactly you want to do. And I think in my past I have said to myself, okay, well, the data is just telling me this, so my gut might be telling me maybe that's not right, but let's just go with it. And there is a gut instinct in marketing, and that's the art part of it. And I have made that mistake in my past.
Not to put you on the spot, are there any specific examples you have of when you went with your gut and disregarded data?
Hmm. I would say actually when I was at Ralph Lauren,
Mhm.
everybody knows Ralph Lauren, right? As a brand, they have like
Yep.
a 90% brand awareness. And when we were opening the Polo store that used to be on Fifth Avenue, we were kind of looking at a lot of data in terms of how we should be marketing and everything. And I think especially with a brand like Ralph Lauren, the art and the gut has to come into it because it is almost like the ultimate branding company. And sometimes the data can lead you astray. And I would say, maybe won't give the exact example of what happened there. Not there anymore, but I would say when you have such a strong brand and you understand the role that that plays in the customer journey, sometimes you have to make sure that you're just not leaning on what the data is telling you because that could also be a point in time, right? As a brand evolves and change, things change. So
Very helpful. Thank you so much for joining us today. How can our listeners learn more about what you're working on?
So you can find me on LinkedIn under Susan Beckett. So please follow me. I'm posting about all the fun things Lovesac is doing all the time, and then please also follow us on social because we love what we're doing in social, and it is kind of really fun and different, and we think everyone will love it.
It is a really fun follow. I can speak from experience. So, thank you so much for your time today. I love your insights and especially like how you balance that all the data that you have with the creativity. It really shows and your passion is evident. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Kathryn.
To never miss an episode, subscribe to the show wherever you listen. I'm Kathryn Turnoff and this is Marketer's Alchemy.